Hello and welcome to the WebPortal web purchasing training video. My name is John Rosato. I'm the purchasing coordinator for the Legal Aid Society. I'm also joined by our purchasing supervisor, Desiree Sprav. And this video will be demonstrating how to use our web-based web portal to create requisitions for purchases that need to be made, whether tangible, like office supplies or furniture, or services and maintenance. For example, repairs to electrical systems or a service call for cleaning an office, for example. So we will start with referencing the actual web portal purchasing guide, and shortly after we will demonstrate live an example of how to create the requisition itself. So moving forward, we will be referring to you, the viewer, as the requester. Um, so as the requester, why should the requester create requisitions? The requester has access to all the information regarding the request. The requester also has the ability to track the status of their submitted requisitions. In terms of checks and balances, it places the purchasing department as a non-biased neutral component of the purchasing process. It also helps streamline the purchasing process for the requester to expedite approvals. So in this reference guide, you will see a standard table of contents, as well as a set of definitions for common terms used while creating requisitions. We also recommend that after you get sent your web portal login credentials, and you will also receive the web portal link, along with appropriate attachments, i.e. account coding lists and other codings necessary to fill out the requisition. So afterward, please, we recommend that you bookmark the web portal link, and we have instructions here on how to bookmark if you don't know, via the Chrome search engine, and I believe, yes, the Internet Explorer. But it's pretty straightforward. I feel like bookmarking is common knowledge, so we will move forward. Now, when you get your login credentials from our tech and systems accountant in finance, this will be the first page you'll see. So you'll have your username and your password, and you will log in. And this section applies more for web portal approvers, so upper management under various practices and various departments, depending on who the requester is and what department or practice they work under. So these account approvers, rather, should turn on these email notifications. They should automatically be defaulted to be checked, but it's always good to go into my account and check that all of these are marked off. You want to have them marked off because as your requisition progresses through the approval route, you will be getting automated emails directly from WebPortal, letting you know the status of your requisition, all the way from its push out from purchasing down to when the requisition turns into a purchase order. So for those who are approving requisitions, If you know you're going to be out of the office on vacation or what have you, you can go to your account and click on the turn on out of office processing. That way, in your place, another authorized approver can approve the requisitions you would be reviewing. And then obviously, when you're back in the office, you can click on turn on, uh, or you can click back to turn on uh, in office or turn off out of office, rather. So from here, we will go into a live demonstration of creating a requisition. Um, so as an example, we'll show you what that looks like. So after you log in, you should see the home page as so. Now, before you log in, um, the requester should have been in communication with the purchasing department to notify us that you want to make this purchase or you want to set up the requisition for this purchase. That way, we'll communicate what vendor should be used, or if the requester has a vendor that they'd like to use. We make sure that we're able to obtain a quote for the vendor if they are a regular vendor that's already in our system. Um, if they are a new vendor that is not in our web portal system, um, we would have to obtain the W-9 from the vendor. Um, After we obtain the W-9 form from the vendor, we forward the W-9 to our general counsel for review and approval. After they review and approve the W-9, purchasing will then inform accounts payable to uh, enter their information, the vendor's information, into our web portal system. That way requisitions can be created, purchase orders generated, as well as payments being made to the vendor after the order or service has been rendered. So uh, when you are at this homepage, that means the vendor is in the system and purchasing has obtained a quote for the requester and forwarded said quote to the requester. You should also have either an email thread or backup documents justifying the purchase or service call. It can be email communications between yourself and your office manager or a practice admin stating the reason for the purchase. Now, if this is a very common purchase, in which case standard replenishment of frequently used items, for example, replacement light bulbs for certain offices, that tends to be a frequent purchase, or specific replenishment of custom printed envelopes, for example, are a very common purchase to each practice. In which case a justification would simply be a few sentences or a couple sentences written within the requisition itself, explaining that it is a simple replenishment of this common item. So moving forward, the first thing you want to do at this homepage is click Request One-Time Product. Now, this is to mirror the very specific line items in the quote, the line item descriptions, the costs, slash pricing and the quantities as well. So for example, let's say we want to get custom printed envelopes to be used as stationery for our CDP location in 199 Water Street. And that vendor is Precise Continental. Now the first step, type in the vendor name. And click the binoculars. And then select the vendor name by clicking it below here. Now, all the vendor information in here is going to be grayed out. You should move directly down to product description. So here we can say custom printed 5x7 brown craft envelopes with the Legal Aid Society logo. And let's say we're getting a quantity of 200 or at 50 cents a piece. Quantity, or rather unit of measure, is going to be each at a quantity of 200 with the unit price of 50 cents. So from here, we're going to go to the upper left and click add to cart, just like you would do when you're shopping online for any product or service. Next, if there is a shipping cost or a shipping line item, one just has to go to back to view my cart. Click on continue shopping. And right below, search the product list on the left-hand section. You're going to type in shipping. And then click search below. What this will do is pull up our shipping cost line item, which is kind of a template. It's blank in terms of price. So you would add that quantity 1 to cart, and then go to view my cart. Here you're going to place the cost of the shipping. Let's just say the cost is $1.50. Now, from here, you have your line item fully described. The quantity, the pricing is correct. The shipping cost is correct. You've compared it to the quote. The total matches the quote. Now, from here, you're going to click Create Requisition. Now, you'll notice this prompt coming in, and it is only coming up because you have set a custom price for the shipping cost. It's only advising you that you're sure about that cost, because once you move forward, you cannot change it. In this case, you double check, you click yes. Now you are taken to the requisition cover page. Now, as you can see, normally the description automatically comes in blank. and the approval rule comes in blank. This purchase, let's say for this example, is going to be CDP. From here, you would most likely be given only access to the CDP approval routes. Since this is a standard regular purchase, you would select PO request CDP. If you want to see who's on the approval route, just click show details to the right. And here you'll see the first approver is WebQuote. WebQuote is also known as purchasing. Purchasing is the first line of defense when it comes to reviewing a requisition. After we review it and everything looks good, we will push it through to the approver route. Next in line is Edgar Monasterio, the practice administrator for CDP. The next is Janet Ozerchuk, who is the director of financial analysis. After she approves, the requisition can then be generated into a purchase order. The purchase order is then signed by the controller, and then purchasing will send the fully signed purchase order packet to the vendor, CCing the requester and other appropriate parties involved in this purchase. The next crucial step is the description, or rather the main description of the requisition. This is going to be the who, what, and where of the requisition. So what are we getting? Custom printed 5x7 brown craft envelopes with the LAS logo. They are going to John Smith at CDP 199 Water Street. The key is specificity. The more information, the better. It just allows for a clear understanding of what the purchase is for, where is it going, and what department or practice is linked to it. Okay. The next crucial part is the attachments. If you go down here to add attachments, you are going to add your quote and your justification in the form of a PDF. Now, you can use an email thread, as stated before, for the justification, or have other miscellaneous backup to justify the purchase. So you'd simply click Add Attachments, choose File, select the file from wherever you've stored your quote and backup information, click Open. I'm not going to click that here because we already have our attachments populated. After you click Open, you would click Upload, and each attachment would appear below. If you attach the wrong document, you can click on the trash icon here to the left to remove it. You can verify the document is accurate as well by clicking the View option. If all is correct and these are all the attachments necessary, you can simply just close out of the screen. Now, we will be using a lot of the information in reiteration. You'll notice a lot of repeats. That's just for clarity. So for a safe measure, I like to always copy the entire main description. If it's a simple one item or one line item service, and you will see why moving forward. Copy. And for the first line item, you're going to want to click Edit all the way on the right. Now, this is the line item detail page. This is very important. The First thing you'll notice are the external notes. This is where you're going to paste that initial information. The external notes is a reiteration of the who, what, and where. Um, Further down other line items, if you have more than one line item, you would title the external notes as what that line item actually is. Um, but in this example, um, a simple copy and paste of the who, what, where in the external notes will suffice. Next down, we have the internal notes. This is where you're going to be stating the funding source, um, also known as the program or project code. Um, this list of coding will be provided to you. If it has not been provided to you, please communicate with the purchasing department and we will forward those documents to you. So since this is going to CDP, it will be charged to code 1060. So you would simply write to be funded by 1060. Now, another instance may be that this service or product is going to be funded by the location, also known as allocated to a said location. If that's the case, you would write to be allocated to 199 water. 1060 as a placeholder. Now, we state that there because in order to process a requisition, a code must be entered into the program, rather the project code field. That's just a feature that can't be bypassed. So the instructions to purchasing when generating the purchase order will be seen here in internal notes. It lets us know to allocate the cost to the location instead of the cost center for CDP. But for this example, we are keeping it to a simple, straightforward funding source by the practice. Moving downward, the vendor information is automatically populated. You can move further down. The next section is the purchase order line item information. Now you see in parentheses, it says optional. Unfortunately, this is not optional. And this program just doesn't allow for us to edit that out of the description. So just keep in mind, not optional, it is required because this is where we're going to list the shipping information, the attention to information, and the department or practice. We skip the date required field. We don't need that as that varies tremendously. The next section is the ship via. Now these are tangible items, they're envelopes. So most tangible items that we order are shipped via UPS. They're the first option on the top of this drop menu. If you know that it's going to be delivered via FedEx, we do have a FedEx option. If the vendor themselves use their own shipping methods, you can put ground shipping. Now, if this is a purchase of software or an online subscription, for example, you would select ship via email license. So in this case, we are going to pick ship via UPS. And the ship to is going to go by practice. and address location. Now, this drop-down menu is a little bit mixed and cluttered, but you can scroll through and find the appropriate practice, department, and location. In this case, it's CDP 199 water. The buyer is always going to be the purchasing supervisor. And the department is going to be CDP at 199 water. This one is slightly in a bit more order. And the delivered to is going to be the end user. And if not the end user, it's going to be the main point of contact for the delivery. It might be the office manager, it might even be the practice admin. So in this case, it's CDP. We'll select Edgar Monasterio. This one is also slightly more organized, alphabetized. Now, if they are an end user or someone that's recently new to the Legal Aid Society, I recommend that you scroll all the way down to the bottom and work your way up to search for that person, as the recent additions in the system tend to populate on the bottom. Now, freight on board, that is another field we leave blank. And now next, we will be moving to the distribution section. This is where we're going to be specifying the account codes and program codes and task codes necessary to fulfill this requisition. So we would click Add next to Detail View. We would type in the extended amount of the line item. In this case here, the extended price is $100. And then we would move to GL account. Now, GL stands for General Ledger. And the first 4 digits of that account number is going to be a category of the purchase. You'll be receiving a list of these codes, as I've stated before. So this is custom printing on envelopes, and we have a category for that, and it is 5253. Next 2 digits are going to be the location. The location code for 199 water is 10. Now, after these first digits are included, they will always be followed by a 1 and 6 zeros. Now, if you click out of here and you fill that out correctly, it should auto-populate and describe the account code. In this case, printing stationery brochures for 199 water. The next thing we fill out is the project or program code, which will be 1060. And for class, it should automatically be populated as unrestricted net assets. If you don't see that selected for whatever reason, you can manually select it here in the drop menu. For budget status, also, please confirm with your office manager or practice admin that this purchase is in fact in budget. If it is not in budget, we do have other options. For example, unbudgeted, fully funded, unbudgeted C notes. You can then add notes to the internal notes to specify the budget. But in this case, we will put in budget. Now, certain purchases require task codes. This is going to be a subcategory of the purchase. We are currently at fiscal year 21, but moving forward, we want to make sure that whatever the fiscal year we're currently in, make sure that those are going to be the first two digits in the task code that you choose. So in this case, there really isn't an applicable task code, but for example, had this been a specific tech purchase, let's say hardware, um, a new computer, a laptop, you would select 21-01 for miscellaneous tech purchases budgeted. Um, but again, all the coding should be verified with your office manager or your practice admin. So from here, you can see all the information, double check. Everything is correct. Very important to save. Now, as you're filling out this information, it might take longer than what I'm demonstrating here. For that, I recommend frequently saving. You can save as many times as you want. The problem is if you do not save and you go back to the main page of the requisition, all of this information that is inputted will be blank. And we cannot accept a requisition that has no information. So very key to remember, always, always save. The next point of interest, if you have multiple line items, it's recommended that you use the copy line item info button on the upper right. So you click that. You'll see that you can select the field you want the information to be copied over. I recommend clicking all except the external notes, as each external note is going to vary depending on what the line item is. So click OK. And then click View Next Line Item on the left to verify your information is transferred over. And you can see here that all except for the external notes has been copied over. Since this is a shipping line item, we'll just simply put shipping. And save. And then all the way to the right under activities or to the left of save, you can click return to requisition, and that'll take you back to the home page, or what we'd like to call the requisition cover page. Here you can do a final check of everything filled out. The description has the who, what, and where. The approval rule is correct, going to CDP. You have your attachments. And if you notice under status pending, it says distributed here in brackets. That signals that you have filled out specifically the distribution section in the line item details. But that also should indicate that you filled out all the other appropriate information. Now, for the sake of this demonstration, I will not be clicking Submit Requisition. However, when you are creating the requisition and everything is complete, the last step is to submit requisition. When you've submitted the requisition, you should receive a prompt that says, congratulations, you've successfully submitted requisition number 4872, for example. Please note that number as it's going to be referenced as the requisition moves through the approval route and you receive the automated emails from WebPortal. And when the purchase order is generated, that requisition number will also be referenced. So this essentially concludes our uh, demonstration of creating requisitions in WebPortal. After a requisition is submitted, as stated before, it will go through the approval route. If an approver finds that information is missing, um, they will most likely communicate to purchasing or communicate directly to you, the requester. Um, they will request that missing information if it's maybe one or two items. If you are missing lots of information, um, they also have the option to reject the requisition, in which case you would have to start over again. There are instances where one can fix a couple of issues. Um, in that case, purchasing has the ability to revert a requisition back to created status, meaning we revert the requisition uh, back to you again to edit accordingly and resubmit. Um, we'd like to keep rejections as an absolute last resort. So communication and specificity is key. Communicate with purchasing and your administrators and your office managers and practice admins, and you should have all the requisitions done correctly. So if you have any questions, please reach out to the purchasing department. You can also review our web purchasing guide that will be emailed to you. You can also request that be emailed to you if you haven't received it, along with all the lists of coding information, uh, i.e. account codes, program codes, uh, location codes, and task codes. So thank you so much for participating and viewing our video demonstration of WebPortal. And we hope that this helps in moving your purchases forward. Thank you and have a great day.